Centralpoint data sources empower you to create live custom data feeds from either records stored in Centralpoint or even your other back-office systems. Data sources represent an important and crucial ingredient for you to create and manage your Centralpoint enterprise, as they are often used for any custom output like web pages, dynamic documents, reports, or even email newsletters. A data source could represent a complete composite report joining multiple silos of data through a complex join statements, or show you a total of all your sales closed for the year. The outputs could be one or many, all including your new data source script, or what we refer to as CP data source script. Conversely, a data source could merely show a small subset of information, like many policies have been read and by whom within the past 24 hours, for example. Or it could show only those who have not read the policies. Data sources will always show you the latest, greatest, fresh from the oven information, as they are live and dynamic. That makes them special. This means that you never have to revisit these data sources once created. They will serve only the right results to each user, since the data source can be filtered by audience or audiences and role or roles, and always fresh. Let's say you had a report you needed to send to each client each month. This would mean you could satisfy all clients with only one singular data source. How? Because the data source which generates that one report carries a filter to only show each client the data within the same report, unique for each client on login. So the overall report, style, is the same for all, but the data which shows in the one report is different for each client at all times. Let us go to data sources in the client console and preview one of the existing ones. This data sources script, which starts with CP scripting, represents a placeholder. Wherever this script is pasted into, web page, document template, or scheduled email broadcast, it will summon and serve the formatted view, or how you wish to output that data to the user. So once you get your data source right at the source, it can be used in as many locations as you want, and is tethered to its source of truth. A data source first defines where the data is coming from, and allows you to specify exactly what data you want, otherwise known as a query of that data. This is managed within the Attributes tab of the data source. Within this tab, we will specify which database we are pulling the data in from, which could be from Centralpoint itself. It could be from SQL, Oracle, or a web service. Next would be the Formatting tab within Data Sources. This is where you would determine what that output should be: HTML, a visual graph or chart, a data list, timeline, or perhaps even maps, showing the pins of each record within the map. So to recap, first is the connection to either Centralpoint or other databases or web services to summon the live data you want. Next is the formatting or stylizing of the output you want to use, either within your site, documents, report, or email alerts. Once you have created it, the CP script or placeholder to that live feed of data can be found here, where you can copy and paste into either one or many output types. An important feature when creating a new data source's select command are two tools or wizards Centralpoint makes available. You will see these directly under the field called Select Command in the Attributes tab of Data Sources. First is the Select Command Builder. Second is the Form Select Command Builder. These tools are designed to guide you through both querying the data you want and the formatting of the output of your data source. If you are unfamiliar with these tools, we highly recommend creating at least one data source, using them to better familiarize yourself with their capabilities and options. These tools will help you build your confidence to create and maintain data sources, which are an integral step towards successfully managing your enterprise and keeping up with requests from your constituents relative to their need for live reporting and information. Let's go ahead and click on the Select Command Builder link. Here you will be presented with a step-by-step wizard to assist you in retrieving the records you want from the database, and will even give you working functional examples in which to format your new data source. In this way, you can use these as a guide to first create a functional data source easily, with little to no knowledge of database queries and/or output formatting. Let's step through this process and say that we want to see a live data source showing us or all records found in generic Enhanced A. I'm going to select from the list of modules, and when I do, I may want to select which field should show in my data source or live report. For example, of all the available fields presented, I may only want one or some of them to appear in my output. Here, I could also spend time to apply very specific filters or granular classification, should this be a report or data source for only a limited audience. Since the default report will automatically filter by the respective audiences and roles of all users, that is the safest bet, and we'll use the default settings. Once I have made my selections and click on Update, the tool will give me everything I need to create my new data source. It will give me both the query I will need to speak to the database, and it will also give me the output code needed to present it. This is important, as of course, IT staff would already know how to summon or write their database command. What is unique about this wizard is that someone without IT background can both connect to a source of content and assist you in preparing its output. In this example, it will also give me pre-formatted styles, HTML or code to use to set up the formatting part of my data source. In this way, with only a minute, I was able to summon live data from Centralpoint or another database and generate live reporting of all of those types of records. Next, I will view my new data source. Should I want to alter the output, such as to trim records or change the sort the order or refine this view, I can simply return to the Formatting tab of my data source, make my changes until I've achieved the desired visual result. Additionally, let's say we have applied our new data source CP script to many web pages, reports, and documents. I need only return to my data source to make my change, and it will automatically be inherited within the many locations where I had pasted my script. This is probably the most beneficial aspect of data sources, where you only need worry about the output of these elements, regardless of how many collections include the element. This is componentized content management, or CCMS, at its finest, wherein the data sources each represent a live, dynamic component, which might be in use in multiple locations within your enterprise. Successfully creating and managing your data sources puts you at the helm of the central point or epicenter of your many audiences and users. Next, I will click on Preview and copy the CP script for this newly created data source. Then I will go and paste the data source into an ordinary website within the navigation module. But remember, I could put it in multiple locations, like a document template or outbound scheduled email broadcast. For now, I will simply paste it into an ordinary navigation page on the site. It could have been placed anywhere, perhaps to show at the bottom of all policies or events, or anywhere you like. It could have been pasted in as an ad to serve relative to a keyword, which means your users search a particular keyword or phrase, and they are served the live data that they might be looking for right at the top of the search results. The opportunities are endless. When revisiting that page on the front end, you will see exactly what the data source is doing. When the page loads, the data source is rendered. This pulls live data from its source, filters it for all users, and then displays it to the page, based upon the formatting options. If you had wanted those same results to be formatted completely differently, let's say to show up with certain documents, then you may end up with two different data sources, wherein they both pull the same data and filter it accordingly. But one may present it as a grid or EXT view, and the other may present it vertically or as a carousel. So you will need a new data source whenever you need to completely alter the output of that same data for multiple purposes. If you have data sources like this, please be sure to maintain strict naming conventions for your data sources, or tag it to its appropriate taxonomy. In this way, should you have multiple data sources which are similar, expect for those outputs, you will stay very organized in maintaining more data sources over time. In another case, we may want to create a data source which shows all new opportunities ingested daily from external news sources as a scheduled routine by Centralpoint's data transfer routines. This data, once aggregated each day, may need to then alert certain users of new opportunities fresh from the oven each morning at 8 a.m. Here, we will take the data source which shows us only the most recent opportunities and paste into an email alert or broadcast, which is scheduled to send to all salespeople each morning at 8 a.m. In this case, those users will receive a new mail each morning at 8 a.m., which will include and present, within the body of the email, all new opportunities for them to pursue, saving them countless hours from searching multiple locations. In this case, Centralpoint is aggregating these new records daily from multiple sources into a singular module, which might be renamed to be called New Opportunities. The data source then is pulling only the most recent opportunities from that singular module, which is then delivering the list to all salespeople each morning. And in that example, if the records or opportunities being ingested in the first place leveraged auto-applied taxonomy from the data cleaner, each opportunity could have been auto-tagged to the respective salesperson. And the daily newsletter sent to all salespeople each morning would filter the different opportunities by individual salesperson who should be responding to which type of opportunity. This type of thinking, or analyzing how greater granularity could help you serve your users in a more highly personalized way, and learning how to do this within the data source itself, is the modern approach to information architecture and becoming a digital experience leader. Data sources are like little dynamic references, so that wherever you place them on a web page or within a document template or daily scheduled email, those users will get the most recent output based on your rules of how you have to set up the data source in the first place. You could refer to data sources as the home to create and organize your many sources of truth. And depending on how many places you put your data source into, it will update all locations. So ideally, everything should be a data source, as once they are peppered in and placed where you need them, as your core data is updated, so too is the data source. Let's take a closer look at both the query and the formatting, which was created by the Select Command Builder. Under more careful examination of the data source, you will see which fields it is pulling, how many fields, and in which default order. You can also see within the filters of this database command, certain functions were added, but not yet invoked. This saves you keystrokes in the future, should you ever decide to refine your records in a more granular way. Take, for example, this line, which includes a double backslash. This indicates that this filter is there, but is not in use. So, if you remove the double backslash marks, it will be invoked. In this case, by removing these and invoking that additional level, the data source will not show you all records from this module, filtered by role and audience, but will actually show you only records added by the user looking at the set of data. Meaning there might be a need to show each user only their records, and if so, you are already ready to do so, but need only ask for the extra filtration by removing the backslashes from the CP script found within the query. Additionally, if we click on the Formatting tab and look carefully at the template content or item content areas, you will see how the data is being lined up on the page. This represents the head, found in template content, showing the various column names in particular order, and the item content shows the same alignment of all records, which appear under each of the column headers. If I were to remove some or change the order and resave, my data source will be updated. Again, if that data source were living in 12 different locations, my change would ensure that all 12 locations will be showing the new format of my change as it is centrally managed within Centralpoint. Further analysis of this formatting will also show you how many records serve by default before it paginates, and also which number column is being used to sort the record set, and whether it is ascending or descending order. So, getting familiar with how to control the output of any record set is crucial to the management of your many users' experiences as they view and/or interact with this information. For advanced users, you can also change the sort and filter criteria options of this dataset within the taxonomy parent tiers, which set the options found in the filter view for your users. The links in the item content can also be extended to trigger forms to be pre-populated based upon the data found within any column. This means that if had to show a list of new opportunities and wanted to add a button allowing users to submit a form, claiming their pursuit of that particular opportunity from the list when the button is clicked, it will carry all information from that record only, from the DID or data ID, into the form they are filling out, thereby pre-populating the new form without any extra user work and with 100% accuracy. This saves users time and automates many processes, and an important feature to understand to leverage the full power of Centralpoint for your many users. Data sources can also be used within the personalized portal landing page, each one like a module widget or view into another system, allowing your users to select and position what data they want to see and where on the page. A full catalog of data sources could also be made available, allowing users to search and add those datasets to their view, should they have the rights to do so. In this way, even the data source placed into the catalog for your users may itself carry roles in audience assignment, resulting in a catalog accessible to all, but with many data sources only available to some, with those roles or access rights to see in the first place. This gives them a composite view of all needed information from multiple silos and systems, but in one place, in a singular central point. Data sources are found under Design within the Client console. Here, you will see many previously created data sources, which might be used in areas of your website, embedded within scheduled email broadcasts, or even embedded within document templates to serve dynamic data in those sections of your documents. Data sources allow you to make dynamic data reusable. Since the data source is a live feed from either Centralpoint or one of your back-office systems, this means that wherever you choose to position or place your data source, it will show your users the right information in that location. For example, you could have one data source placed in multiple locations, like a web page, a scheduled weekly email alert, and a document template. In this way, as the source data changes, it will dynamically change all three output types from the source of truth. You will also see a section called Empty Item Content. This is a courtesy for your users, should there not be any records or matches found within the data source. Rather than seeing a blank spot on a website or within a document, should there not be any matches, instead, you can manage a message which says, "No matching records found at this time," letting the user know that none apply and eliminating issues for you from users wondering why that section driven by a data source and dynamically was in fact blank. Data sources are intelligent, as they can filter which records appear within each output based on the role or roles and audiences of each user.